Okay, very good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Wednesday, the 23rd of July, 2025. Starting with the synoptic, looking for a bit of background yesterday at lunchtime, we can see that occlusion across much of the country there with the low pressure centered off to the north. And that's what brought a lot of that sort of unsettled low clouds that we had in places yesterday. Overnight, that's cleared and dissipated with that low pressure still being up sort of towards Orkney and Shetland with lowering pressure, but still around average. Midday today, however, slight increase in pressure, about 1016, but we've got this trough running all the way across the south coast of England. That's going to be coming in from the north throughout the day, and we can expect a little bit of associated weather, but nothing greatly significant. It's not a particularly strong feature. Looking overnight, that's clears and into the next day or two. Very low pressure system off to the west, bringing in some more frontal activity into the weekend, and we can expect more unsettled weather for the tail end of the week. Satpic then, looking at today, lots of cloud across the country and not a huge amount of structure with it down in the south. And that's again partly associated with that trough. And we'll get some more or less a lot of cloud throughout today. It's not really going to blow out at any stage. We can see a fair bit of rain in places. As of now, we can see this small band here, and I just hear it a little bit on the roof of the office at the moment. And that will sort of be much the case for today. If we look at the Met Office prediction, you can see that band of rain here that we're experiencing. Running that through today, you can see it does grow, but should be clear of us by about 11 o'clock. And then there's some very light showers in other parts throughout the day, but nothing that appears to be affecting us during the day or into the evening for that matter. The TAF at Odium, they've got 340 at 8 knots, so northwesterly today. Visibility greater than 10 kilometers and few at 1,500 feet, scattered at 4,500 feet. And there's a prop 40 between 8 and 7 p.m. this evening of 6,000 meter visibility showers. And there's a prop 30 between 8 and 11 of scattered at 2,000. So it's essentially going to be fairly showery all throughout today with potential for reduced visibility as those showers come through. Farnborough, on the other hand, they've also got northwest, though they're slightly less of a northerly component to it. That's 310 at 4 knots. Visibility is greater than 10 kilometers, scattered at 3,000 feet, and between 9 and 4, 7,000 with showers, prop 30 between 1 and 4 of 4,000 and heavy showers. So those heavier showers later on this afternoon should miss us to the east, but they may very well clip Farnborough. Spot winds today to the south of us. We've got 0, 1, 0, 10 and 15 at 1,000 and 2,000 feet respectively. So a little bit of a northeasterly component there. But to the north of us, we're expecting 330 at 50 knots at both 1 and 2,000 feet. So something roughly in between there. We can expect sort of 330, 340 from the northwest, around 10 to 15 knots at height. On the ground, more or less straight northerly at the moment. It's going to be going between northwesterly and direct northerly across the airfield. With that in mind, though, it's fairly calm, so we'll be taking runway 27 and have the downhill component in our downhill, I beg your pardon, component in our favour. And we can see, looking at the Met Office forecast here, wind speeds of no more really than 7 or 8 knots, with gusts reaching maybe 15 or 16 later in the day. Temperature-wise, around about 20 degrees maximum today, feeling a little bit cooler with a reasonable wind and still fairly high UV, so do take care. Visibility into the mid-afternoon is reducing fairly significantly, so just do bear that in mind. GFS for temperature then, they're giving us a slightly higher estimate of around 23 degrees in our area with a dew point of between 9 and 10. Looking at the south side webcam, this is facing north with the caravan site just in the foreground of the picture. You can see quite messy, lots of low cloud as well as middle and upper. And that's going to be the same picture for much of the day. Possibly slightly less of the lower stuff later on, but still fairly messy. Temperature-wise, here we're up to 16.1 with a dew point of 12.4. Moving on to SkySight on the left-hand side, and this small excerpt here is the potential flight distance. You can see not a great deal to write home about, a little bit better to the north, but of course that's where the showers will be coming in from. But later on into the day, it may be worth heading up in that direction. Point forecast, however, you can see fairly thick cloud at all levels earlier this morning. But so the next hour or two, we can expect these showers coming in from the north. After that, thinning out at low level to potentially have a little bit of cumulus, and it should be soarable up to 4,000 or 5,000 feet with climbs of around 4 knots in strength. Then mid-afternoon, we start to get that thickening of the low-level cloud again, which coincides with the reduced visibility. But it shouldn't really affect the soaring potential according to SkySight here. And we can see the thermal top winds northwesterly, which is in agreement with everything else we've looked at, around 10 knots. Look at top meteor. That gives us some cloud distribution. You can see this is as of 9 o'clock local time. Quite a bit of auto Q here with some thicker auto Q out to the west of us, and this embedded cumulus as well. We run that through. We can see sort of the next hour or two, it does thicken up a little bit locally. We get thicker auto cumulus. Does remain like that sort of mid-level cloud, fairly thick into the afternoon. 3 o'clock local now, thinning out a little bit with some medium thickness auto Q and not so much lower level stuff. And then into the evening, thinning out, and by about 9 o'clock, it should have ballooned out in the local area. No sounds in, there's nothing particularly significant, especially given the forecast. 33s, there's Delta 132, the ash ranges, they're active. Over at 26, that's the middle wallop into services, regional gliding competition. And then just to the west of that, they've got all the danger areas and the plains as well, so we want to avoid those. At 34, you've got paragliding at Combe Gibbet, which entirely sure how much they'll be doing today. And then up at 34, you've got, I beg your pardon, at 38, you've got paraglider winch launching at West Ilsley. And that's from surface to 1,900 feet. We'll move on now to the local airfield briefing, starting with the RAF Odium cross section. And you can see that lower clouds around sort of 1,500 feet, so around 1,500, around 1,000 feet local QFE base. And that runs through until sort of mid to early afternoon. Not a huge sign of any sort of precipitation, but potentially becoming CBs, developing into CBs later on. So that is definitely something for us to keep an eye on, see how that's developing. Hopefully it's not going to be any issue for us, but we will monitor that. Base rising to sort of 2,500, 3,000 feet later on, and the best part of the day being that sort of very late afternoon, just before the evening group takes over. Winds, in agreement with everything else, we've seen northwesterly 10 knots, there or thereabouts, and reducing visibility into the afternoon. There's a prob 40 of showers this morning, and that's reducing to a prob 20 of heavy showers in the late morning into the early afternoon, and then should be remaining clear for the rest of the day. There's no warnings of significant weather, and the temperature is around 21 according to dollar bookings. Then we have 2 K21s on booked instruction, and there's also another 2 K21s allocated to the 5-day courses. We have number four, SH4 and SH7 on Meuse Silver and Beyond course. And there is a K13 for the casualist and another for trial lessons. There is some limited single-seater availability this morning, and there are three other casualists. So if we get an instructor out to help, that would be much appreciated. And if you're looking to do something productive this morning, if that rain does arrive, the simulator is available as normal. Reminder, as usual, about the Boyne expedition. Not that many places left now. I think there's only 2 or 3 spaces remaining on week 2, which is my week. So make sure you get in touch with the office if you're wanting to book. If you've got any questions, come and speak to Ron, Barry, or myself. Okay, we've got nothing to report today with 2XL. And in summary, there's unsettled conditions with a passing trough bringing showers and potential CBs. There's a moderate north-northwesterly wind on the ground today, so do consider the turbulence off those and the curl over from the trees when you're approaching down to their level. Okay, so particularly if you're landing on the north side, think about that turbulence, maybe carry out an extra little bit of speed. We'll be operating runway 27 as we said today. We'll have winch cables on the south side grass, and if there were to be any requirement for a grid today, that would be on 27 north side grass. Please make sure you're ready when the cable or tug arrives, and do not land or taxi across the disused runways shown in red. That's the airfield setup for today with the launch pod vehicle in its normal place and the cables winching off the south, they're returning off the hard. That's all from me today, and we'll see you out there shortly. Have a good day and keep it safe. Thank you very much.